Hello and welcome back. This is workshop 1B, Nutrition, Movement and Rest, video 1 of 2, the NO program. Nutrition, movement and rest are the first 3 of the 5 health pillars. You're going to be provided with some very basic but vital and critical information on each of these topics. I know it isn't the exciting, interesting and more in-depth stuff that's coming in the following workshops, but we have to start with the 5 health pillars. The following workshop will be the last 2 of the 5, and these are the first 3. Many people will know a lot of this information. I'm just bringing it in because it's important to start with the 5 health pillars, because you can't build on top of that if you haven't got your foundation laid in properly. If some of this information is not new, and if you already have all of this stuff sorted, that's fine, go through it. You might not even have to set a goal to some of this information that's coming through. And if that's the case, just move on, because the more in-depth and the more vital stuff is coming through in the following workshops. Let's get started. At the beginning of each weekly topic, I'm going to show you the self-health journey steps, and just to orientate you as to where this particular topic is situated on the path. This is obviously right at the beginning. At the beginning, nutrition, movement and rest, hormonal balance and sexual health will be the next of the 5, and we're starting the first 3, as I've said. Then once you go through that, we'll go on to emotional balance, mental balance, and so on as we move through the various workshops and the various weekly topics to the end of your self-health journey. As above explained, you're going to get very focused, really very simple statements as facts given over to you for you to process. And if you know this stuff, just move on. If you're already doing what you're supposed to be doing, just move on. So starting off with nutrition, what is required for you to know are food types or food groups and the daily portions so that you don't eat too much, water consumption, and then just some basic understanding of calories and metabolism. With regards to the food types and how many daily servings, taking a daily serving as being half a cup, there are 4 food groups. One of the 4 is the bad, and the other 3 are the good. The bad is the processed food, the stuff that the majority of people enjoy eating. It's usually packaged and sold as ready to eat. Processed foods, they are by most people's standards quite tasty, usually with a lot of salt and a lot of sugar. So the processed food has a high GI glycemic index, which isn't very good for your body, and you need to try and cut back on that as much as possible. And the other 3 food groups are the good food groups that your body actually will thank you for if you focus on those. We have protein and dairy, grains and nuts, and fruit and veg. You require about 4 servings a day from each of these 3 food groups, the good ones, and as few as possible from the processed high GI groups. As far as water is concerned, you may already know that most of your body is made up of water, and you require, for a grown adult, about 8 glasses of water per day for optimum consumption. To spread it out through the day, you should be looking to drink some water when you wake up, a couple of glasses, then before each meal, before taking a bath or a shower, and then before going to bed. You'll probably also end up drinking some other drink like a coffee or whatever, which will add up, and that's how we get to the total of about 8 glasses of water, because tea and coffee and even cool drink is mostly water. Not to say that you should be drinking that instead of water. Water is important for many reasons. Not only does it improve your mood and helps boost your brain power, it also helps your heart to remain healthy, removes toxins by ensuring that your kidneys are filtering all the toxins out of your blood without any difficulties, because you're not dehydrated. You have a clear and healthy skin. It helps you with your joints. It will definitely help you lose weight if you need to, and gain muscle if you're exercising. Right, now with regards to calories, there are very few things that you need to know. It is just a number that is used to measure the energy that is in the food that you consume. So when we're talking about calories or daily calories, it's the daily amount of energy in the food. Whereas it isn't really feasible for you to monitor your calories on a daily basis long term, certainly not for the rest of your life. It's important to just get a good understanding that the amount of energy that you require depends on a few things. So look at the trend on this graph. As you can see, women, as they become more active, they require more energy. That's obvious and it's common sense. Men, similarly so, but men need a little bit more energy than women do on average. And then, of course, we need to take body size into account. Of course, elderly, they have less energetic requirements. As you get older, your energy requirements drop. Metabolism is associated with calories. Your daily metabolism is really, as far as information that you need to know, is really how much energy or calories you're consuming in any given day and what affects it. We've already seen in that previous slide that your levels of activity will definitely affect the amount of energy that your body uses every day, your metabolism. And then your body size, especially if you're very muscular, then you require more energy. Males more than females, elderly people a little bit less. Then the levels of certain hormones will also come into play on your metabolism. And we'll discuss that when we talk about hormonal balance. Now, you need to look at briefly the effects of overeating and the main reason why we tend to overeat. I'm going to briefly touch upon that here, but there will be quite a bit more detail about overeating in workshop 3, where we discuss addictions and overeating and how to reverse those. So there are physical effects and there are emotional effects. Obviously, people that tend to overeat tend to gain weight. You get to a point where you're classified as obese. As I've mentioned on a number of occasions, these are guidance systems and you're not going to be provided with tons and tons and tons of information. You can easily look up on the internet using your height and using your age and so on. What is your optimal weight? And you can see whether you're overweight or even if you're classified as obese. Also important on the physical effects is a direct link to diabetes and, of course, renal failure that can follow on from the diabetic condition, cardiovascular disease, strokes, heart conditions, gastric reflux, an increased percentage of cancer, and, of course, joint problems from increased weight going through the body joints. Emotional effects. It's been shown that people that overeat and become obese, or maybe just even overweight without getting onto the obese side, they can definitely have higher levels of anxiety and depression, decreased self-esteem, and with addictions that follow from that, eating disorders as they try to fight back and try and get the weight off, and avoiding medical care and even negligence looking after their own body. Reasons for overeating. It's important to know that since childhood, we all subconsciously adopt coping mechanisms that help soothe emotional pains and stresses. And there's something called the HFS cycle, which does this very nicely for most of us, or many of us. We have not only adapted to overeating, but we actually crave the extra calories because of how these make us feel good through the production of certain hormones when we feel satiety. The HFS cycle that I mentioned is to do with how we feel hungry. We eat food that promotes satiety. The stomach is then filled with the food, and that causes release of certain hormones. You feel good as a result of that. And there are direct consequences of this cycle. And in workshop 3, we'll be looking at how this cycle can be changed. You can't really break this cycle by trying to restrict food and trying to be stronger than the drive that the cycle brings to you on a daily basis if you're already in that habit. So if the HFS cycle is causing you to overeat, it's very difficult to break it by confronting it. You have to use certain techniques to break it down and to substitute it. Don't try and break it. You have to manipulate it until it's now working in your favor. The nutritional know, you just need to know basic food groups, daily portions, the calories, what calories and metabolism are about and what influences those two values, and then the HFS cycle and how to break that or change that HFS cycle will come through in more detail, as I said, in workshop 3. With that information, very basic information, if you now feel that you are driven to a specific way of wanting or desire of wanting to change something, whether it's the way you eat, whether it's how much you eat, whether it's what you eat or how much water you drink, you're now going to be able to just make some very basic and quick decisions on what it is that you desire and what your goal should be based on that. And you can start working with that desire, putting up a goal and going on and having a look at the action video that's coming through on nutrition. And then you'll be able to begin doing something about it and move towards your goal. So the actions to take on nutrition are mostly around what and when to eat and to drink. These will be actions that will allow you to reach goals that you desire, will be put forward in the action videos that are coming after this. And then increasing metabolism with ways to achieve this in the movement section, as well as the hormonal balance section in workshop 2, and then changing the HFS cycle in workshop 3. And with that said, let's keep going, and I'll see you in the next video.